Gmod is a game that I've spent at least a few minutes playing. Gmod has been around since 2006, and while it's not pulling the same peak numbers it once did, it still averages over 30,000 players a day. That's impressive for a game that's almost 2 decades old now. So the question is, why are people still playing a game that's been out since 2006? Especially when the same team behind Gmod is working on their next big Sandbox project, Sandbox. Sandbox isn't fully released yet, but it's also not that hard to get access to the game right now. It claims to be a spiritual successor to Gmod and a love letter to Source 2, but honestly, a lot of the videos that I see look like Roblox mini games. Sandbox absolutely still shows promise. If you look at some of the projects that have already been made with it, there's some really creative stuff happening. Someone even made Half-Life. And, it exists. One feature that I do think is pretty exciting is that games made with Sandbox will eventually be able to be exported as standalone titles. And I think that seems like something that could be really cool. As this Reddit user said, Valve had originally promised that Source 2 would have been open for developers to make their own games, but that never really happened. But will Sandbox ever actually replace Gmod? One of the main reasons that I love Gmod is just the amount of different servers that there are out there. We've got Star Wars RP, we've got Halo RP, we've got Mass Effect RP, Pokemon RP, and we even had Harambe RP, rest in peace. These were all really unique game modes that popped up in Gmod, and they've kind of existed in other games like Roblox. I know I did a Star Wars RP in Roblox a million years ago, but another game mode that used to exist in Gmod was Hogwarts RP. And about 3 years ago, Warner Bros. Sent Facepunch, creators of Gmod, a takedown notice to remove all Harry Potter related content, including the game mode Hogwarts RP. The servers do still exist, but you have to know the IP to join. There is actually one other way to find out. If you go into Gmod, click Find Multiplayer Games, and then open your console while it's loading, you can actually see all of the blacklisted servers. And yes, this includes the Hogwarts servers. It's almost like they have their own little secret section. I would say be careful joining these servers. I don't know why all of them are banned, so if you're gonna join them, join with the VPN on. And even more recently, Facepunch had to comply with the DMCA from Nintendo. Nintendo forced them to remove everything related to their games from the workshop. It was a really sad day in the Gmod community. We didn't know where it was gonna stop. And if you search today, you can still find plenty of Nintendo-related content. People literally just re-uploaded the stuff that got taken down, and new stuff has been being made ever since. I remember back when that happened, there was an add-on that was uploaded that it took away the airs, and it replaced it with the same-looking thing, but instead of saying air, it said, fuck Nintendo. That was pretty cool. The reason that I even bring this up is that if Facepunch has already had to navigate copyright takedowns in Gmod, it's probably going to be a bigger issue in Sandbox, especially with the ability to export standalone games. I feel like the workshop is going to end up to be a lot more tightly controlled. Maybe there'll be some kind of system where certain add-ons can be exported and some can't. I don't know how the system's gonna work, but it's hard to know in the current state. While doing research for this, I was looking through the models that are on the Sandbox website, and I found SpongeBob ragdolls. There's a good amount of them here, so I could be completely wrong on this. Maybe nobody cares about SpongeBob though. I highly doubt that we're gonna be seeing any kind of Hogwarts server on Sandbox. That'd be cool though. Now maybe this next point comes down to just being a me problem, but I'm just not a fan of the aesthetics that they're going for. I think the current visuals don't really look that good. This is something that can obviously just be fixed by the developers and add-on makers and all of that, but get these penis-headed dudes out of my game. I don't want them in my game. And it seems like a lot of the footage that I find uses them as a default asset for their game modes. And since Sandbox is running on a stronger engine than Gmod, I doubt it will remain an issue for a long time. But it's just, we're starting from scratch. Hopefully somewhere down the line, a system gets made that can easily port Gmod add-ons to Sandbox, because as of right now, that is not something that we are able to do. If you try to port a map from Gmod, there's going to be a few extra steps that you'll have to do. At least that's what it says in this Reddit post. It says that Ubery is a programmer, so we'll just have to take his word for it. Also, just a lot of add-ons in general on Gmod are coded using Lua, and Sandbox is going to be built using C#, so add-ons aren't just going to be able to be copied and pasted. They're going to have to be completely rewritten. Sandbox does have a bigger asset library than I thought, though. If you go to their website, you can find a really good amount of models, materials, and maps. You can even preview the models in 3D before downloading them, which is pretty cool. Look at that. Another thing I found while researching this is that Sandbox is going to be adding a mounting system that is similar to Gmod, where we can pull different game assets out of games that we have installed on Steam. Currently, they only have support for Quake, but hopefully this means that if Sandbox gets bigger, other games are going to start wanting their assets to be able to be in Gmod and used for different stuff. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll have a shower with your dad simulator assets in Sandbox. For the final part of this video, we're going to look at some of the assets that already exist for Sandbox. Since I know that this exists on the website now, let's see some interesting stuff. By the whole point I had about copyright, I don't know if this is just because the game it's not out yet or what, but I'm definitely seeing more copyright stuff than I was originally intending to. Here is SpongeBob the Krusty Krab map. As you can see, he's got the front desk. Doesn't look that bad at all. I mean, it's a bit of a small map, but this definitely opens the possibilities for more. Also, staying on the trend of maps, I found a Star Wars map. I hadn't seen any Star Wars assets made for this yet, and we're not even done. I found one other Star Wars thing, so we're not done with Star Wars quite yet, but as you can see here, got a whole Star Wars Jabba Palace. Only we had Jabba the Hutt. Didn't take me long to find RP Downtown, which is a classic DarkRP map. Doesn't look like it's too bad at all. Got the bank, everything you need for downtown. I found a map that's just some dude's house. It looks like put a lot of effort into making his house a map. Staying on the trend of copyright infringement, we found Blood Gulch, which is an awesome map. Unfortunately, there really isn't any other screenshots for this one, but I mean, Blood Gulch is just a classic map. Got that in Gmod. Got a few of those in Gmod. Here's all of the SpongeBob models. There's a lot of them. There's a lot. I'm really surprised at how many SpongeBob models there are. And Mr. Krabs. Sandy's a little messed up. I don't think she's supposed to look like that. Told you we weren't done with Star Wars because we have a Lego Star Destroyer. Looks pretty good, not gonna lie. But it's still not Clone Trooper models, so there's still no Star Wars RP, as far as I know. We have that one crazy girl from that one game where she stabs dudes. The last model that I found is very, 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 very cursed. It's called Stump Guy. But I think I'll just leave us on that note. This video is, of course, just my opinion. And as I did more research into this, I do have to say that Sandbox intrigues me a little bit more than it did before I started this video. I do find it a little weird that you can find more videos of people talking about the game than people actually playing the game. It was kind of hard to find people playing any amount of games in Sandbox, but you could find a ton of videos of people just yapping about it. Like this one. This could be the next big Sandbox game, but I'm not sure if it'll ever live up to Gmod. And speaking of Gmod, if you want to get your own server in Gmod, consider using today's sponsor, Nexus. It's the host that I use for my Gmod server, Frostbite Gaming, and you can save 50% off your first order by using code PIXEL at checkout.